Hello! How we doing, folks? How we doing? Thank you very much, Public Loser. Hello, Mana King. Hello, All-Seeing Dude. Hello, KBS. And yes, we are doing an afternoon stream, and I was going to play Dark Souls 2 until I realized that Dark Souls 2 does not have cloud save sharing for some reason on Steam. So we're not going to play Dark Souls 2 on stream. Instead, I'm going to start Dark Souls 3. Hey, ArchZeno. How you doing? Thank you for making the leap over to riverboat.gg. But yes, today, chat, today's a big day, okay? Today's a big day because I need to issue a formal apology to Matt Walsh fans. I have been listening, I have been seeing your comments, I have been viewing your reaction to my YouTube videos. And I just want to say, from the bottom of my heart, I am deeply and utterly sorry for the way that I did not approach Matt Walsh's 15-year-old comedy videos with the intellectual debunking and rigor that I usually apply to my content. Now, I know that this was very disappointing to all of you because Matt Walsh fans, as we know, are deeply, deeply invested in getting down to the facts of the matter, the deep and abiding truths. And I just want to say I'm sorry that I did not approach the videos in which Matt Walsh pretended to be a gay man or a racist 1920s radio announcer. With the deep scientific and logical rigor that really is required when talking about those kinds of videos. Yes, it is true. In my video responding to those, I did say, essentially, haha, look at this conservative dumb fuck. That's true. I said that repeatedly and often. And I just want to say, I'm sorry. Okay? I've seen your requests that I approach Matt Walsh videos with the amount of intellectual honesty that they deserve. And so I just want to say that you know what? Okay. I will do that. I will do that. And so to begin with, let's take a look at one of Matt Walsh's most recent videos. Okay? It is titled Bud Light Feels the Heat, or is feeling the heat, sorry. So let's take a look at that together, and maybe I can try and properly apply my critical thinking skills this time. Again, I'm sorry, I know all of you really, truly, deeply care about a critical analysis of Matt Walsh. I know that you guys are just craving it. You guys are basically craving your genes over the idea of a critical analysis of Matt Walsh. So let's do that. Let's just full screen that, shall we? There we go. Boop. And this is going to be a good time, everybody. Here we go. Turn on subtitles for you guys.
There's nothing unusual about watching a major corporation fumble around hilariously in an increasingly desperate and self-defeating effort to handle a PR crisis of their own making. We've witnessed scenes of this sort many times in the past, but what makes the current drama with Bud Light so unique and perhaps really unprecedented in recent times is that in this case, the corporation is clumsily flailing around in the hopes of appeasing conservatives. We are not the group that these
Yeah.
companies are usually trying to impress. It's not our outrage that they are normally responding to.
Yeah.
But Bud Light's decision to put out a Dylan Mulvaney celebratory can promoting transgenderism and the desecration and appropriation of womanhood has become a tipping point.
It is true. Bud Light did put out a celebratory can. Can you even buy one of those celebratory cans? I wonder. Dylan Mulvaney Bud Light can. Shopping. Is there any way to buy this can? I got to be honest with you guys. I don't think there is a way to buy this can. I don't. Dylan Mulvaney Bud Light can purchase. Shopping. Let's see. Nope, not seeing it. You know, I'll even Google it on screen for you guys. Dylan. Oh God, I can't type. Mulvaney on a Budweiser can. Buy. Shopping. You know, maybe I need to be specific. Bud Light can. Bud Light can. Let's see. Oh, the very first thing that comes is a Dylan Mulvaney celebrity mask, which is honestly, all of these are creepy. Like every kind of like cardboard mask you can buy of a celebrity is creepy as fuck. Big serial killer vibes. Oh look, you can get a Post Malone can for $20 on eBay. You know, maybe that's my mistake. Maybe I need to go to eBay. Okay. Oh God. Okay, there we go. Boop. Dylan. God, I can't type today for shit. Dylan Mulvaney Bud Light can. Oh look, one of the top like all of these cans are Post Malone cans. And the number one result for Dylan Mulvaney is a homemade sketch card Bud Light for $2.99 plus over $5 in shipping. God damn. Maybe I need Dylan Mulvaney in quotes. The point I'm trying to make here, chat, in excruciating detail, is that essentially when Matt Walsh says, hey, they did a can with her face on it, you can't actually buy that can. That can was made specifically for a promotional video that was put out on Dylan Mulvaney's Instagram and TikTok. And that video is less than a minute long. And for that one ad partnership, Matt Walsh and other conservatives are losing their goddamn minds. And have been for like over a week now. Actually, sorry, over 2 weeks now, because that ad ran on April 1st, and Matt Walsh has not stopped pissing himself in rage ever since. Sorry. For the Matt Walsh fans out there, I do not know for a fact that Matt Walsh has literally pissed his pants in rage. I do know that he is deeply, deeply embarrassing himself on the public stage here. I do know that one, okay? Anyway, we'll continue on.
and things are changing. There's real momentum behind the Bud Light boycott, unlike any other attempted conservative boycott in memory. And that momentum is only growing, even as Bud Light tries to stymie it by doing anything except the one thing that could bring this all to an end, which is to explicitly apologize for pushing gender ideology.
Now, keep in mind, when Matt Walsh says Bud Light pushed gender ideology, what he means is Bud Light partnered with a trans person to sell their product. That's what he means. To him, pushing gender ideology is a trans person being visible. That's it. That's it. That's his entire argument.
They haven't done that yet. They're not ready to do that yet. So instead they tried to get
like just real quick, those of you out there who aren't sold on this premise that Matt Walsh is a bigot, replace the basic concept of like wanting to boycott a product because they partnered with a black man to sell a product, or they partnered with an interracial couple to sell a product, or they partnered with, a Jewish person to sell a product. If you insert the different minority and then talk about how like, oh, they're pushing their values, it just sounds absolutely insane, because it is. That's actually an insane, illogical reaction to just seeing somebody different from you in media. So I know that in my previous video, some Matt Walsh fans took umbrage with the fact that I said it really seems like Matt Walsh is a racist. So I'm gonna try and control my language a little bit better here and just say Matt Walsh is a bigot. Matt Walsh is transphobic. You can tell that because of how he talks and frames his arguments around trans people and around other minorities as well. But this video is mainly about trans people, so we'll stick to the subject.
Found the issue on Friday with a statement from Brendan Whitworth, who's the CEO of Anheuser-Busch. And the statement is remarkable in that it goes on for a long time, but says absolutely nothing at all. It reminds me of every essay I wrote in high school or every...
Man, Matt Walsh just calling himself out there real quick. Sure reminds me of a lot of other Matt Walsh content that he has produced and created. Who would have thought Matt Walsh would admit to having nothing of substance or value to say? Crazy.
Kamala Harris speech. Whitworth wrote, quote,
also a valid Kamala Harris dunk, okay? Valid Kamala Harris dunk. She's terrible and awful, and I intensely dislike her.
As the CEO of a company founded in America's heartland more than 165 years ago, I am responsible for ensuring every consumer feels proud of the beer we brew. We're honored to be a part of the fabric of this country. Anheuser-Busch employs more than 18,000 people, and our independent distributors employ an additional 47,000 valued colleagues. We have thousands of partners, millions of fans, and a proud history supporting our communities, military, first responders, sports fans, and hardworking Americans everywhere. We never intended to be part of a discussion that divides people.
Yeah.
We are in the business of bringing people together over a beer. My time serving this country taught me the importance of accountability and the values upon which America was founded: freedom, hard work, and respect for one another. As CEO of Anheuser-Busch, I am focused on building and protecting our remarkable history and heritage. I care deeply about this country, this company, our brands, and our partners. I spend much of my time traveling across America, listening to and learning from our customers, distributors, and others. Moving forward, I will continue to work tirelessly to bring great beers to consumers across our nation. That was the statement. On second thought, maybe he is saying something significant here, because he said that he's going to work to bring great beers to consumers, which means that that must be him announcing that he's quitting the company and going to work for a beer distributor that actually makes great beers. Because if you want to bring great beers to consumers, then you can't work for Anheuser-Busch. But if that's not...
You know, it's really interesting that in part of their boycott, they're like, well, Anheuser-Busch makes horrible products anyway, so, they don't make good beer. Well, then why were you buying the shitty beer? Why were you buying that in the first place? That seems like a poor choice on your part to continue buying shitty beer when you could have just been buying better beer this entire time. That's a you problem. But anyway.
Not what he means, then this statement doesn't say anything, except that Anheuser-Busch is scared and they're panicking, but they have no idea what to do about it.
Now, I will agree. Anheuser-Busch did not really say anything in that CEO statement. However, I would even argue that that statement was somewhat pro-minority groups, pro-trans people, pro-African Americans, Jewish people, etc., because it talked about wanting to foster a sense of respect between people in this country, something severely lacking between Matt Walsh and trans people. Matt Walsh absolutely does not respect trans people whatsoever. That much is clear from watching his videos. I feel like that's not a controversial statement. I don't have like a numerical scientific value that I've devised using the scientific method to assign some kind of transphobic value to Matt Walsh. So I'm just going to use a very colloquial, very transphobic for Matt Walsh. Now, the idea that Anheuser-Busch is panicking as a result of this boycott, I think is inaccurate. Because we'll get to some of the details when we get closer to the end of this video. But I want to remind you all of something fairly pertinent to this video to keep in mind. Anheuser-Busch has historically been a very large Republican donor. Anheuser-Busch has donated a lot of money to the Republican Party. They are not anti-Republican at all. And seeing a lot of the prominent politicians on the right trying to jump on the anti-Budweiser train has put the conservative movement in a bit of a bind, largely because the people at the top who are trying to respond to kind of the pressure from their constituents and propagandists like Matt Walsh are finding that they are being called by some of their biggest donors to be like, hey, what are you doing? Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, you can kind of see over time here, thanks to Open Secrets. You can kind of see over time the contributions that Anheuser-Busch has done to the various parties, and you can tell that, oh, look, they donate over like $1 million to conservative groups almost every year, or rather, if you go back to the year 2000, they start hitting around $1 million, and then hover around like 800,000, 700,000. You can see a couple years here, they even donated a little bit more to the Democratic Party. Because some of these very large corporations like to play both sides of the aisle with their donations. But you can also see in recent years since 2014, or sorry, since 2010, that they have been donating mostly to and predominantly to the Republican Party, especially in the last midterm election. And I'm going to guess that because there was this massive spike for the midterms in 2022, there are some people in the echelons of Republican leadership who are now getting some pretty angry calls from lobbyists working for Anheuser-Busch. So something to keep in mind as we continue to watch this video.
In fact, the statement is it's a master class in self-sabotage. So they shot themselves in the foot, and then they reloaded and shot themselves in the other foot. Because by refusing to directly apologize to their customer base, they've done nothing to quell the controversy or stop the boycott, but by issuing the statement in the first place, and by admitting at the very least that transgenderism, the transgenderism conversation, divides people, even though they didn't say transgenderism, but that's what they're talking about, by referring to it as divisive, they also managed to piss off the left. So it's a statement that appeases...
I don't know. I'm fine with it. It's okay. Whatever.
No one, and makes them look worse to everyone. They had a few possible options for dealing with this PR crisis that they created for themselves. None of them are great. You know, you never have a great option when you're in the middle of a PR thing. But some were better than others, and they surveyed all of the options and decided to choose the worst possible one. The one with the biggest downside, but no upside to offset. But just brilliant stuff. Later on the same day, they decided to take a somewhat different approach. Without addressing the controversy at all, Budweiser put out an ad which was meant to pander to the customer base that they have alienated. Watch.
Let me tell you a story about a beer rooted in the heart of America, found in a community where a handshake is a sure contract, brewed for those who found opportunity in challenge and hope in tomorrow, raised by generations willing to sip, share, risk, remember. This is a story bigger than beer. This is the story of the American spirit.
And the American spirit tastes like piss. Anyway, I see some people in chat being like, well, $1 million is nothing. Well, keep in mind, it is quite a bit of money, and it is quite a bit of money specifically to people in lobbying, or who are on the receiving end of lobbying. So it's actually quite cheap to buy or attempt to buy congressional favors, which you can tell because Anheuser-Busch donated around $464,505 to the NRCC, the National Republican Congressional Committee. And someone definitely let them know that had happened, because if you take a look at this particular tweet, you'll note that the tweet has now been deleted. This tweet trying to fundraise off of shitting on Bud Light is strangely gone, as is the fundraising page. The tweet is gone. The fundraising page is gone. The NRCC has not responded to any requests for comment. It's interesting. And that's because both parties, Republican and Democrat, care about their donors far more than they care about any principal position. Okay? So what I'm trying to point out here is that the Republican Party is slowly bending to the whims of its donors. It does not give a shit about Republican voters, and it never has. Which is why most of its policies do not serve Republican voters. Instead, it serves Republican donors.
Let me tell you a story about a beer brewed for those who amputate their own genitals. That would have been a more honest script. Instead, they went with the old school pitch to the working class conservative.
Okay, so this is yet another one of those factual errors that Matt Walsh makes. Now, I know that you guys wanted the intellectual rigor, my intellectual prowess applied to this Matt Walsh video. So let's back it up a little bit.
for those who amputate their own genitals.
Now, Matt Walsh here is telling you a falsehood. You see, trans people do not amputate their own genitals. They are, by and large, unconscious when they have bottom surgery or top surgery. So Matt Walsh here is just not telling the truth. And yes, I'm being a pedantic asshole about this, but you know what? A lot of Matt Walsh fans were also pedantic assholes, and I apologize to them for not meeting their pedantic asshole standards. I will try to meet those standards going forward.
That would have been a more honest script. Instead, they went with the old school pitch to the working class conservatives, hoping that we forget that their vice president is on the record saying she doesn't want to appeal to that demographic anymore. I mean, they're throwing it. They even had a 9/11 reference in that. They're just throwing everything against the wall. But you know, it's not gonna make us lose focus here. We haven't forgotten, and we won't.
So one thing that people should know, especially conservatives, okay, is that one advertisement doesn't typically change people's minds. Advertising doesn't work in a direct way like that. Instead, it plants the small seed of an idea in the back of your mind. It associates a product with positive feelings. And those who say advertising doesn't work on them are actually the most susceptible to advertising's effects. So again, make sure you understand what you are ingesting in your media, because well, that will have effects on what you consume, especially when it comes to advertising, where it's specifically designed to get you to buy a product.
So the boycott is still on. The only thing that brings this to an end is a groveling apology. That's the only way this ends, or else it ends with Bud Light simply deciding to absorb the damage and deal with the financial repercussions. Either result is acceptable to me, because they both would achieve the end goal of punishing corporate wokeism, claiming a scalp, and making an example out of somebody, which is the...
So in Matt Walsh's world, taking financial losses is somehow inflicting financial losses is taking a scalp. It is a victory against the concept of wokeism. And I gotta be honest, Matt Walsh hasn't really defined any of his terms in this video, so I'm not entirely sure what a victory against wokeism means. Again, woke is kind of this very nebulous term that conservatives like to use a lot to mean a lot of different things. So, does he mean a victory against trans people existing at all? Does he mean a victory against just queer people existing in media? Like, what exactly does he mean here? Because he doesn't really tend to explain that. He leaves it deliberately vague in order to allow his audience to fill in those gaps themselves. Because again, he's not really talking about facts at any point in this video. In fact, he's talking about a lot of gut feelings. He's talking about a lot of instinctual responses. He's talking about a lot of claims. He's making a lot of claims in this video that so far he hasn't backed up whatsoever. And he relies on the fact that his audience is just not going to ask any questions about the points he's making, and instead just kind of passively receive his points and make them their own. So all I'm asking, Matt Walsh fans, apply the same intellectual rigor to Matt Walsh that you would like to see others apply to people like Kamala Harris. Okay, I fucking hate Kamala Harris, but that's not just because I disagree with her politics. It's because fundamentally I think that she's a bad person. I think that her politics are bad. I think she makes bad points. I think she is a poor rhetorical speaker. I think that a lot of her achievements throughout her life have not been particularly noteworthy or impressive. And I think that she's one of the lowest and least popular left-leaning politicians currently in America. So, moving on.
The point here. As for the financial damage, there's no way to be sure how much is being inflicted on the company at this point. We'll have clearer picture of that when the quarterly earnings reports and all that stuff starts coming out. Right now.
So it's really interesting that the entire premise of his argument here has now been kind of revealed to just be like feels over reels. He doesn't actually know how much damage is being inflicted on Budweiser. He doesn't know that anything actually is being accomplished. He's just ginning up a narrative. He tells you, he straight up tells you, Matt Walsh fans, that he doesn't have facts on his side. I just want you to listen to that. Listen to what he tells you.
Now, all we have are anecdotes, and the anecdotal evidence makes a pretty compelling case that the boycott is making a serious dent.
Now, this is something I need Matt Walsh fans to understand. Anecdotes are not evidence. Evidence consists of data. Anecdotes are data points, okay? And you need to be able to collect all of the data points in order to come up with data or evidence. Otherwise, you can say something crazy like, "Oh, I was mugged by a black guy. Therefore, all black guys want to mug me." Or, "I was raped by a man. Therefore, all men want to rape me." You know, like that's the conclusions that people can arrive at if they use only anecdotal evidence to back up their claims, to back up their positions. And I think we can all agree that those are insane positions to arrive at. All men, obviously, are not rapists. All black people, obviously not muggers. Now, I just want to point that out because Matt Walsh is about to try and make a similar conclusion from similarly shitty evidence.
New York Post published an article interviewing industry analysts who admit that this boycott, quote, has legs. Justin Kendall, who's the editor of a beer industry trade publication, Brewbound, said that from what he's seen, the anti-Bud Light movement has gone from social media and it's made its way into the mainstream. You know, there's reports that have come in from all over the country of bars and restaurants that are refusing to serve Bud Light and other ones that will still serve it, but they're not able to sell it. One of the most telling signs is a cell phone video, which was captured from a concert where the country artist Riley Green was performing, and he changed the lyrics in one of his songs. The song usually contains the line, "I wish coolers never run out of cold Bud Light." But as his own protest against the beer brand, he changed it to say, "I wish coolers never run out of cold Coors Light." And listen to the audience's reaction to that. Here it is.
Just real quick. Note the fact that like the concert actually has a bunch of unoccupied seats in it.
Yes, that's a very convincing sign that boycott.
Yeah, a bunch of people at a concert going "woo" is a very convincing sign that they are all actively participating in a boycott. That is not actually what that indicates. It indicates they're aware of the boycott. They're aware of why they dislike Bud Light, but it doesn't indicate actual participation in in any kind of meaningful sense. Now, I will just bring this up, that it is true. Some of this messaging has reached people in the real world. People are aware of it, and people are angry. And it's worth noting that we'll take a look at this. We'll take a look at this, okay?
Bruh. Oh shit. Gee, what the fuck?
Now, I don't know that the man in this video is a Matt Walsh fan. But Matt Walsh would definitely look at this and be like, yeah, this is evidence that the boycott is working. This is also a piece of anecdotal evidence, by the way.
Why destroy the bush light, dude? Why? Get his ass! Woo! Good job! Got quite the crowd. He's in debt for life.
Actually insane behavior. Actually, like, lunatic behavior. And I would like to also point out that the man who was arrested in that video was actually not only arrested for the destruction of the incorrect beer. He thought he was destroying a Budweiser affiliated beer. No affiliation to Budweiser. But he shouted, "This will teach them," as he did it. He was also arrested for exposing his genitals to children. So, you know, typical behavior. This is not outside of the norm. Let's see. Do we have the identity of this guy exactly pinned down? Let's see. Yeah, Bush. Yeah, he was destroying Bush Light instead of Bud Light. Which, not Bud Light, but, you know, okay. Let's see here. Yes, okay. Here we go. Boop. Topeka man brought down in Walmart after allegedly exposing himself to a teen. We can just check that out.
A Topeka man is behind bars tonight. He allegedly exposed himself to a teen at the Walmart right there on your screen. Topeka police said about 9 o'clock last night, officers responded out to reports of a disturbance there at the store on Wanamaker Road. When officials arrived, they said they found Dustin Kane of Topeka had been throwing things at people there in the store. And officials said they also learned that at some point he exposed himself to a teenager. TPD officials said they did use force to arrest Kane, but a taser was not deployed. He was booked into the Shawnee County Department of Corrections on several charges, including lewd and lascivious behavior, exposing sex organs to another person 16 or older, and criminal property damage. He remains behind bars on bond tonight. The state...
So, yes, correction. Bush Light is owned by Anheuser-Busch. Sorry, my mistake. I apologize, Matt Walsh fans, for not doing the not accurately knowing which beers belong to which company, because I drink only the finest beverages. Sorry, my apologies. Anyway,
Bud Light is not just a
now if I real quick, interrupting Matt Walsh real quick. If I were to use this as anecdotal evidence, as Matt Walsh is trying to do, okay? So if we were both to play a similar game, what I could say would be something along the lines of, well, this man who was arrested for destroying Bud Light cans, or sorry, Busch Light cans, well, he's indicative of all the people who are destroying Busch Light cans, or Bud Light cans, or participating in this boycott, and therefore, all of them expose their genitals to children. Now, I'm just trying to tell you that that's the equivalent of what Matt Walsh is doing in this video. It's not actually a good or logical argument because it's not based upon evidence, it's based upon anecdotes, and anecdotes are not evidence. So, let's keep that in mind as we continue to see Matt Walsh make his point.
Twitter phenomenon. But the most important sign is the behavior of the company itself. The statement they put out, the ad, none of that says much, but it does say one thing, which is that the company is worried. Yet they're getting an assist. They're worried. Their back's against the wall here a little bit. But they are getting an assist from what some may consider an unexpected source. Though if you've been paying attention to politics for longer than, say, 30 minutes, you would very much expect it. The Republican establishment is beginning to circle the wagons around Anheuser-Busch. As the Daily Beast reports, quote, the National Republican Congressional Committee quietly deleted a fundraising page on Saturday that took aim at one of its largest donors, the parent company of Bud Light, Anheuser-Busch. The NRCC's backpedaling follows conservative calls for a boycott of the beer company after it partnered with transgender TikTok personality Dylan Mulvaney. On Saturday morning, the powerful committee that provides support to Republican congressional campaigns blasted out a tweet calling for supporters to donate to the NRCC and, in exchange, be given a custom drink koozie. Thanks to Dylan Mulvaney, we can all finally admit that Bud Light tastes like water, the NRCC said in a since-deleted tweet that the Daily Beast reviewed and can be seen in the article. With our new koozies, you can make sure that no one confuses Bud Light with real beer ever again. But shortly after it was posted around 9:30 a.m., the tweet was taken down. Later on Saturday afternoon, the corresponding fundraising page was also nixed. The decision to reverse course is almost certainly a reaction to the reality that the parent company behind Bud Light is a major donor to the group. Now, I wouldn't normally trust the Daily Beast speculations about such matters, but in this case, they appear to be exactly correct. In fact, Donald Trump Jr. has made this argument explicitly. On his podcast a couple of days ago, Trump called for conservatives to, quote, leave the company alone because they donate to Republicans. That was his reasoning. Listen.
This is one like we're dunking on them now, but when you actually look into it, they'd be one of the more conservative-leaning companies in America. So they've been put on notice. I'm leaving them alone. I think you should probably do the same. And we looked into the political giving and lobbying history of Anheuser-Busch. And guess what? They actually support Republicans in woke corporate America.
It's true. That's why Donald Trump Jr. is getting a little bit heated here, because Anheuser-Busch gives him money, gives his father's political campaign money.
Anheuser-Busch supports Republicans. Last cycle, their employees and their PAC gave about 60% to Republicans and 40% to Democrats. And that's literally almost unheard of in corporate America.
So we should note that Caitlyn Jenner, who was apparently hanging out at Mar-a-Lago this weekend, also came out in defense of Bud Light for the same reasons that Don Jr. articulated. Though Jenner apparently deleted his pro-Bud Light tweet after I called him out for it, still, it's clear that there is a powerful contingent within the Republican Party that wants us to stand down for the sake of protecting all of that sweet, sweet donor cash.
Matt Walsh is correct. Matt Walsh actually correct on this one. That is 100% what is happening.
But that's not going to happen. And I will explain why. Okay, first of all, I am well aware that Anheuser-Busch donates to Republicans and has Republican executives and a largely conservative customer base. That's exactly why we should boycott them, okay? It makes their endorsement of gender ideology all the more outrageous, and it makes them all the more vulnerable to our...
Well, so it's actually not outrageous. The reason that they are endorsing, or rather partnering, because they're not necessarily endorsing Dylan Mulvaney, they are partnering. They are using Dylan Mulvaney as a marketing tool. And the reason they were doing that was to reach people who are not already predisposed to drinking Bud Light. That's what marketing does. It helps you to expand your client base. So Matt Walsh here is just angry that this company is trying to sell its products to queer and gay people, essentially.
Pushback against that marketing decision. As I tried to explain a couple of weeks ago, before the Bud Light boycott began in earnest, if we want to fight back against corporate wokeism, we have to be strategic and intelligent in choosing our targets. Okay, Nike has partnered with Mulvaney too. You know, Nike had, and we could say in an even more egregious kind of way, Nike sent women's clothing to Mulvaney, including a sports bra, and had this man model it, which is even more, as I said, egregious. And then plenty of cosmetic brands and women's fashion brands have done similar. But we aren't trying to organize a boycott against those companies. Why is that? Because we have very little power over them. Okay, if you're going to try something like this, you have to be able to see the win. There has to be a win at the end of it. In 2022, 84% of Nike's political donations went to Democrats. In 2020, it was nearly 90%. So this is a left-wing company run by left-wing people and catering to a customer base that does not primarily consist of working-class, conservative, middle-aged white men like Bud Light. Okay, it's not plumbers from Idaho or truck drivers from Wisconsin who are going out to buy $200 Nike shoes. So it's not going to be very effective to organize a boycott against a company that doesn't care what we think and doesn't need our business. How is that supposed to work exactly? So all these conservatives, and it's not just those in the...
Matt Walsh is somewhat correct here. Boycotting a company as a core part of the consumer base can be sometimes an effective tool. Where Matt Walsh's analysis here misses the mark is with the premise that A, this boycott is effective, because frankly, we have very few ways of telling whether or not a boycott is effective, but we're going to get to a way that you could tell if a boycott was effective in a bit. But he doesn't know how effective this movement is, and also that's kind of contingent on it actually, like people following through on the boycott rather than just saying, oh yeah, I'm never going to drink Bud Light again. Now you need to actually follow through, and that needs to counteract the sales that they're going to get from people counter boycotting, i.e. people who would otherwise not buy the product, who are now buying it to kind of stick it to people who are trying to boycott the product, if that makes sense. So he's not exactly on the ball with this one.
Establishment and high-ranking Republicans and so on. I've seen this on Twitter and on social media. Plenty of conservatives saying, well, what's the point of this? I mean, Nike, this company, that company, they're all woke. But what do you think you're going to do about Nike? Bud Light, on the other hand, does need our business. And so they do, or should, care what we think. This gives us power that we can either choose to actually use for a change, or we can sit back quietly and absorb the insult like we always do. And to that second option, I say hell no. We have power in this case. Let's actually use it. I know that concept is like mind-boggling to a lot of Republicans.
By the way, it just real quick, Anheuser-Busch is like a $100 $110 billion company. They are colossally huge. Nike is a $190 billion company, roughly. And I'm sorry, but like, I think conservatives need to realize something, especially if they're in like Matt Walsh's orbit, okay? If you are paying attention to a political pundit like Matt Walsh, you are not indicative in any conceivable stretch of the imagination. You are not indicative of the general conservative population. And I tell my own audience this all the time. People who tune into my channel are not indicative of like the general population, because the general population wakes up in the morning, puts their pants on one leg at a time, goes to work, comes home, is exhausted, eats dinner, and then goes to bed after watching like TV, okay? And then they do it again 5 days a week, and then they have 2 days a week to just kind of chill. And when they're chilling, they generally don't want to watch political news. They generally don't want to do that. So a lot of people are just not tuned in to political issues in the way that my audience is, and certainly not in the way that Matt Walsh's audience is, okay? And in order for a boycott to actually be effective, it has to reach some kind of mainstream saturation. And I gotta be honest with you guys, I don't think it's going to reach a level of saturation for conservatives that it meaningfully impacts the bottom line of a $110 billion company, okay? I don't actually think there are enough conservatives boycotting Bud Light or Anheuser-Busch to actually affect that kind of change or financial damage, okay? The same way I don't think a lot of lefty boycotts of products is going to enact a lot of change or even like a lot of change, whether in a company or in politics, okay? So a good example of a national boycott that actually reached mainstream was on baby formula. People boycotted baby formula because it was like laced with chemicals that were harmful to babies. And that was something that reached enough people that it actually made a difference. And by the way, this happened in 1977, okay? People started boycotting Nestle because Nestle was selling essentially unsafe breast milk. That led to death among infants. It led to health problems, permanent health problems among infants. And that was something that a lot of people cared an awful lot about because it was literally killing children. So that led to a massive boycott that actually did manage to accomplish something. And did inflict damage upon Nestle, which is a very large, was and is a very large corporation. Like, hating trans people doesn't have the level of appeal that, like, literally ensuring babies aren't dying from using a product does, okay? So, anyway, moving on. I hope I made the distinction here clear, both to my viewers and to Matt Walsh viewers, who I know care very deeply about facts over feelings.
But when you have power, you should use it.
Yeah, another decent example, Snuggle Kitten, would be the Harry Potter game. I might be on the left, and I might be very much in favor of trans rights, but also I do not... I know for a fact we do not have the amount of numbers in the very online portion of reality that we inhabit to meaningfully impact the sales of a video game that is attached to a property like Harry Potter. Because most normal people who are not involved in politics will never hear the call for a boycott, and also are going to be very hard sells on that concept. So, yeah. In fact, I would argue the main effect of that boycott was boosting the sales of the Harry Potter game, unfortunately.
This is what the GOP establishment and its donor class don't understand, okay? We are sick and tired of this. We are sick and tired of watching as our culture is claimed piece by piece by madness and degeneracy. We are not okay with it. We are furious about it, in fact. And we aren't following your lead in the fight against it because you people aren't interested in fighting against it. We're not going to sit around and wait for you to execute your master plan to win back the culture. You have no such plan. You're satisfied to let the culture crumble and decay as long as you can have a hand in ruling over the rubble. And that's how we got to this point in the first place, where transgenderism is...
Now, again, all of the points that Matt Walsh is attempting to make here are not factual. There's nothing factual about saying, in the future, our society is going to collapse because of social degradation due to trans acceptance. There's nothing factual about that. There's no evidence behind that. He's not even attempting to present any factual evidence to that effect. He's mostly just saying it and hoping his audience, Matt Walsh fans, will agree with him because they agree with his foundational premise, which is that trans people are degenerate. And that's the foundational premise of almost every Matt Walsh video, by the way.
Is the sort of thing that even Bud Light feels it needs to promote. That's how the total denial of biological reality became mainstream and seized hold of our society. It happened because the conservative, quote-unquote, leadership tasked with defending our country against evils like gender ideology abdicated their responsibility. They gave up without putting up even the semblance of a struggle. They left it to the rest of us to fight this battle, and so we are. You're asleep, we're taking the wheel. It's that simple.
Oh, Matt Walsh here saying that Republican leadership is asleep, and his audience, his fans, the true warriors of conservatism, are awake. There must be another word for awake or alert enough to drive. I don't know. Maybe woke could work there. I don't know.
And we don't care about Republican donors. Okay, the Republican donors are as worthless as the Republicans they donate to. So I don't give a damn about them. And you could scoff all you want, right? But this boycott matters. It does. It matters because it's obviously not just about one beer company. It's about making a statement. It's about achieving a victory for truth and sanity. It's about doing the things that you people won't do. So step aside and let us handle it. Okay? We'll do everything. You'll do nothing. And then later on, when we get the win, you can run campaign ads pretending that you did something, as always. And that's fine. I don't even care about that.
What a true and noble warrior of Christ.
That's all that matters. Mm-hmm. That'll do it for this.
Well, okay, we made it through a Matt Walsh video. And this is where I bring up possibly one of the only ways we can currently track a relative level of effectiveness of this boycott on Anheuser-Busch. And really, the publicly available information at this point is in their stock price. So, you know, we'll take a look at the different stock prices available here. We'll use Robinhood for a relatively simplistic graph here. So you got over the last day, wow, Anheuser-Busch stock up, 2.35%. Okay. But, you know, obviously, like if we go back just a day, like that's not a whole lot. Let's go back a week. Okay. We go back a week. Oh, well, actually, the current stock price is up 2.67% from where it started at the beginning of the week. Well, really this boycott has been going on for a couple weeks now. Let's take a look at 1 month out. Okay. Okay. So the boycott happened on, or the ad happened on April 1st. So the last number we have before April 1st, and we don't have numbers between March 31st and April 3rd because of the weekend, when the stock markets close. So we got here $66.74 or $66.74. And then we just have that we have to compare that to $65.89. So at most we're looking at a drop here of like, let's see, math is not my strong suit. 66.74. We have a drop here of less than $1. Okay. And on top of that, overall, Anheuser-Busch stock is up almost over 9%. Sorry. Over 9% of where it started a month ago. So in the span of like the existence of this boycott, you have effectively a drop of $1, which well, is a drop of like 1% ish, maybe like 1.8%, somewhere between 1% and like 1.7% in there. Okay, but let's go back even further. 3 months, damn, up 11.34%. Let's take a look over the past year. Damn, up 12.7%. All I've got to say here is that, generally speaking, one of the easiest times to try and suppress a stock price is when it's at its peak. Okay, when a stock is like has like drastically risen. Stockholders are looking to possibly liquidate and take a profit. And the boycott for Anheuser-Busch happened during a time of like record profits for Anheuser-Busch. And as a result, people were already liquidating a lot of their stocks to take profit, or change their positions. Okay, that's typically when you'll want to liquidate for either profit reasons or because you want to like change your position in that particular stock or shift it over to a different one. That's how the stock market works. Okay, and what you can tell from looking at what happened here over like the last couple weeks is that this period right here, like between like March 30th and April 6th, is like a giant leveling off at like Anheuser-Busch's most profitable period of existence in like the last year. So it's leveling off because people are liquidating their positions, taking profit, etc. And then you see a slight drop, which maybe you could charitably, if you wanted to be incredibly charitable to Matt Walsh and his boycott movement, could be attributed to the bad PR here. So instead of being at like $66.61, it drops down to $64.50. But then it immediately rebounds. And there's, as the bad PR continues, it continues to go down all the way to a low point of $63.46, which you'll note is still up 5% from where they started at the beginning of the month. This is not any kind of financial bloodbath that we are seeing play out here. especially considering that since then, April 12th, the stock price has steadily recovered. And you'll notice, by the way, that a lot of these stock prices, they regularly fluctuate. Halves of a percent, sometimes entire percents in and of themselves. You know, this is a regular occurrence in the stock market. If you guys have never seen a stock chart, dropping by like 1 or 2% is a very, very normal occurrence on pretty much any stock that isn't considered like completely and utterly unshakable, you know? Like some of the there are some company stocks that will remain relatively like stagnant, but where like a 1 to 2% shift is massive. But Anheuser-Busch is not one of those companies. It experiences 1 to 2% fluctuations regularly. So what you actually have here, when the stock price even goes down to its lowest point, is stockholders looking at that and being like, holy shit, we made 5% profit. That's you know, that's pretty good. We made a 5% growth. That's wild. So like, if you don't know anything about the stock market, and I don't blame you if you don't, like a lot of people have never invested in the stock market. I can forgive you for not understanding that when Matt Walsh talks about this being like a phenomenal success for the boycott, he's not actually talking about the strength of any real financial damage being inflicted on Anheuser-Busch. He's just not. There's no real evidence out there to indicate that there's any lasting financial damage that the people saying you've lost my dollar like are meaningfully impacting their financials. At most, this is like a blip in their current run of success over the past year. Okay, they're currently doing better than they have in like the last 2 or 3 years. We can actually take a look here at their 5-year projection, and you'll notice that this projection actually does come down from like the 2018, etc. But one of the large reasons it came down especially hard towards the end of 2019 was because of the pandemic. So when we look at that, when we take that into account, we have to look at the massive fallout from the pandemic happening in early 2020, late 2019, and then you see kind of this recovery largely spurred by things like the PPP loans, the stimulus payments, etc. And then when those cut off in early 2021, you can see that it goes back down again and begins to stabilize. And we are just now, from 2021 until 2023, you know, early 2023, seeing a recovery from losing the stimulus payments that were keeping a lot of companies afloat through the pandemic years. So, like, actually, this is pretty good news for Anheuser-Busch. Like, they're getting free PR from Republicans. They are being able to get their messaging out to lefties who are now far more inclined to drink their dog shit beer. Because I do stand by the fact that like Bud Light is a terrible beer. And that's why like a lot of lefties or whatever will drink like the boutique like local brewed beers, as opposed to like a mainstream beer like Bud Light. But those people are now going out to buy Bud Light as a fuck you to people like Matt Walsh. So the financial damage is minimal at best, even if you just take the boycott on its own. But when you take external factors into it, when you actually bring the context of the situation together, the damage is not is not that much. Anheuser-Busch is going to be okay. They're currently in the process of appealing to a far larger group of people, and this entire movement by Matt Walsh and his followers is a lot of hot air. It doesn't actually mean anything. And the only reason Matt Walsh is engaging in this is because pumping up this culture war issue allows him to continue to cover things that don't meaningfully impact or improve anyone's lives on either the left or the right. He's not talking about making, helping you guys afford college. He's not talking about helping you guys to afford medical payments. He's not talking about helping you guys to make sure you get jobs or the training you need to get jobs. He's not talking about any of that. Instead, he's talking about how a trans person was on a beer can one time and then in a less than minute-long ad on her own social media, and how that is somehow destroying America. That is the height of irrationality, and that is, frankly, a misdirect to keep you from wondering why he's not actually advocating for anything that betters your own lives or the lives of those you love. So that's my apology to Matt Walsh fans. Again, I'm really, really sorry that I did not apply the intellectual rigor that Matt Walsh and his positions deserve when I reviewed his comedy sketches from like 15 years ago. Apologies. I hope you found this one more acceptable and palatable because I know you all care about facts over feelings, and I hope that that illuminated some of this for you. All right, hello chat. Just had to get that one out of the way real quick. How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? How we living? How we doing? Oh, we got a raid from Rhizome. Thank you very much for the... Wait, that was 17 hours ago. There, we got a raid from KF Logan. Hello, raiders. You guys came in just at the end of the segment. Oh God. How you doing, Lefty Angler? How you doing, Main Captain? How you doing, Cupcake Chaos? We got Zoop. We got so many good friendos. Hey, K Flow crew, how y'all doing? And KF Logan, hope your stream went really, really well. And Wayward Historian, hello. My rear end. We got so many good friendos, so many wigglers. Hello, Cyborg Elf Gaming. It's true. Matt Walsh is a really big fucking weirdo. Yeah, honestly, Moo Bagger, like what they're doing is really common. There are more liberals than there are conservatives in America. Like they're pivoting. Like there's a reason why Nike, like doing the Colin Kaepernick ad, was one of their most successful advertising campaigns of all time. It literally like bumped their company valuation by billions of dollars. So there's a reason why a lot of these companies make like a pivot, or at the very least invest in advertising not just to conservatives but also to like queer people, you know? Hey, Face Stabber. Matt Walsh is like a museum exhibit for a history of bigotry. Oh, he really is, you know? And folks, I have been streaming for over an hour now. We opened up with a segment. We just got right into it. I hope you guys all are enjoying the show. And I would just ask that you consider supporting us. I don't believe we've actually had any donos today. No donos whatsoever in the first hour of the show. So if any of you would like to financially support stream, there we go. We got Lily Love Stuff with the 100 biddies. Thank you for kicking things off. Bud Light may be mediocre beer, but goddamn it, Busch Gardens is one of my favorite theme parks. Last time I was there, Though some asshole was smoking a cigar on the big bad wolf and ash got in my eye. Oh, damn. That sounds bad. I'm sorry. But, folks, please consider donating, subscribing, etc. Come on over to riverboat.gg, by the way, if you want to be in the on-screen chat here. All you got to do is type riverboat.gg into your address bar. You'll come right over, okay? And if any of you would like to subscribe or gift subs, click on the subscribe button at the top of the screen to subscribe yourself or gift subs. And if you are already subbed, you could consider gifting higher tier subs. You know, we could see a few yellow names in chat. You know, Main Captain, thank you for coming on over. Hell yeah. But yes. Subscribing over on riverboat.gg, by the way, more money goes to support me, so it's in my best interest to get you all over here, okay? And, yeah. Let's go. Hey, Law Dog. I need to use the bathroom really badly, so I'm going to be right back. I'll leave you guys with some music. Baycop Eternal, thank you for the $60 dono. Holy moly, me oh my. Thank you very, very, very much for that generous dono. That did work. How the fuck do I do this? Well, you did it, okay? Thank you very, very much. Yes, if you are interested in supporting stream, there are two buttons at the top on riverboat.gg. One says subscribe and the other says donate. Donate is just a straight donation, and subscribing, you can either subscribe yourself to get access to emotes on the site chat, or to and also to get your name colored in chat. The higher tier that you subscribe to, the different color your name is in chat, so people can appropriately see how awesome you are. And also, you can then gift subs if you click on the subscribe button. So consider doing that because it helps me so much. And Baycop Eternal, thank you very much for the dono. I'll be right back because I need to pee like a racehorse. And when I get back, we will do some more content. We'll go over the Contrapoints response from Walsh. And I'll also selfishly talk about the Twitter thread that I made on Twitter because I kept thinking about the conclusion of that Contrapoints video. And unfortunately, a lot of people, both who agree with me and who disagree with me, don't seem to be understanding the substance of my point, so I'll try and make it clearer when I return. See you guys in a couple minutes. I'm back, baby. How we doing? Oh no, did we lose the homies? Did we lose the Twitch homies? Oh yeah, we covered that yesterday too, KBS. It was horrific. Oh, another story from just two. Oh yeah. The is this the cheerleaders? Did I see your last comment? The one that said, "Hey, Entrama." Oh, a lot of people thought we were shitting on Contra when we weren't. You can have valid critiques when liking the video. Yeah. So we'll get to that real quick. Okay. Hello. Hi. Also, just gonna say again, if you're enjoying the show, if you get a lot of useful information out of this, please consider throwing some subs or donos my way, because I can't make the show without you guys. It's a back and forth, and we got another short show today, folks. I gotta leave in about an hour, so we gotta make this quick. Jack, is this Passive Aggression the movie today? What? I don't know a lot about Walsh. Is he aight or nah? Hard to tell. I mean, people have very divisive opinions about him. I think he's aight. Oh, just going off on Matt Walsh fans and other people being shit online? Yeah, I guess so, yeah. Today I just want to make sure, like, I'm clearly understood, okay? So, okay, you guys can definitely hear that. That's just someone upstairs cleaning. Sorry. Someone upstairs, it's in a different unit. Anyway, moving on. So, the other day, I watched the 2-hour-long Contrapoints video. And it's a very good video. I like it a lot. I would say I agree with about 90 to 95% of it. The main issue that I had with it was the final 5%. And in the final 5%, she draws a line between people like J.K. Rowling and people like Michael Knowles and Donald Trump. And I just have to, I couldn't reconcile that. That particular moment kind of catalyzed a point of disagreement for me. And it's why I'm trying to, like, put this into clearer language. I don't hate Contrapoints. I don't necessarily even dislike a lot of Contra's content. I find a lot of it valuable and good. But what I will say is that I don't always agree with 100% of everything that she puts out. And that's okay. You know, that's okay. Having healthy disagreement is okay. And the point at which I disagree with her on in this conclusion is I tried to spell it out on Twitch, or Twitter, rather, not Twitch. So here it is. Okay? And this is because I had continued to think about the conclusion of her video essay throughout the night and also into the morning. And so I just tweeted out, still stuck on the conclusion of that Contrapoints video, stating on the one hand that a propagandist like Michael Knowles must be defeated while saying, just block J.K. Rowling, completely ignores that Rowling wields an amount of power that dwarfs Knowles. J.K. Rowling is a billionaire. She has enough wealth to topple countries. She has reach and influence beyond measure. She is cited in U.S. legislation to eliminate trans people. Her Hurt Feelings produced a 7-hour show for the New York Times. She is not a handmaid in this story. She is an active participant in the attempted destruction of trans people across the world. The complete lack of class awareness is what ultimately undoes Contra's critique. It's infuriating, to be honest. I expected better. And then a few hours ago, I tweeted out, since this tweet is getting traction, I just want to say I don't hate Contra. I like her videos. I just don't feel like the conclusion of her latest video flows from the arguments made throughout the first 90 to 95% of it. So I felt like this was pretty clear. I felt like I was being pretty clear in how I typed out, how I framed my disagreement. And part of what's frustrating about this for me is the fact that I'm seeing a lot of people framing this as, oh, I hate Contra. I don't. I don't necessarily think we would get along if we hung out, but that's not hatred, okay? Additionally, my main point of contention is saying that a propagandist who is working for a political purpose, like Michael Knowles, needs to be defeated along with people like Donald Trump, whereas J.K. Rowling, we can effectively just ignore her. Which is kind of how I read the conclusion of the video. And because she said, well, J.K. Rowling, we can just block her or something. And I don't agree with the premise that there is some kind of arbitrary divide between what J.K. Rowling does and what Michael Knowles does. J.K. Rowling is able to do the same thing Michael Knowles does, but with far more money and a far more widely accepted and ingested platform. J.K. Rowling can say something and have it be picked up by almost every single newspaper around the world. You know? This is a type of power, and she can use this to push her own agenda. This is the type of power that Michael Knowles, in his wettest of wet dreams, could only, begin to fathom. Rowling is completely self-funded. Rowling has used her power to shut down trans clinics. She has used her power to embed herself with political figures and politicians. There are people who, in my replies, talking about how J.K. Rowling is just kind of this idiot puppet. But no, I disagree with that premise. She is not just a children's book author. She's not just an old lady. She is a billionaire who is helping to shape public policy. Explicitly, she is being cited in legislation. And it is frustrating to me to see so many people not seemingly understand that. They're like, oh yeah, well, Contra mentioned her power and the power she wields. Contra just thinks that people, other people are controlling her. And it's just as far as I understood the video, and someone can correct me in chat if I'm wrong on this one. But when Contra was saying something along the lines of other people are controlling J.K. Rowling, it seemed to me like she was saying that the forces of patriarchy are at work within the gender critical movement, are at work within J.K. Rowling herself, and flow primarily from conservative patriarchal men in positions of power. And I agree with that. But I also think that patriarchy can also flow from women. And I also think that women can indeed be pulling the strings behind patriarchal movements like gender critical, like men's rights activism. There are women within those movements who are not just like dupes, but who are active participants, who are true believers, and who have the means to enact this themselves and are not dependent on getting marching orders from any one political or economic figure, you know? And so, yeah, I think Contra wants to fix J.K. Rowling like Megan Phelps was fixed, but Megan Phelps wasn't fixed. That's a pretty clear component of Contrapoints video, is that Megan Phelps did not come around on like LGBTQ issues. That's the core component, is that like these people cannot be rehabilitated, which is why it's so weird to hear like, oh, we need to defeat Michael Knowles in the arena of ideas. We need to defeat him, but J.K. Rowling, we can ignore her. And I would argue, no, we can't. We can't ignore one of the most well-funded, prominent, and like accepted in casual society transphobic leaders in the world. We don't have the luxury of ignoring someone like that. I think that really the long-term win here is ensuring that every single person, every normie who isn't politically brain poisoned like us, is aware of the fact that J.K. Rowling is a transphobic bigot. That's valuable. Ensuring that everyone knows that is valuable. And I don't think you necessarily ensure that by just allowing her social media communications to go unchallenged, which is kind of what it seemed like Contrapoints was advocating for. I ultimately don't really understand the conclusion of this, because it seemed to me like the natural conclusion of the video would have been a complete circle, a complete comparison between J.K. Rowling and Anita Bryant, which is that Anita Bryant was effectively ridiculed and effectively defanged by the pie to the face moment. Posey Parker, similarly, defanged by the soup incident in New Zealand. And I just have to say, like, if you're going to use the comparison to Anita Bryant, you have to reckon with the fact that while Anita Bryant was a nationally known figure, she did not have the wealth and influence that J.K. Rowling does. And that element seems to be missing from the analysis of the two situations. And it seemed like the natural lead-up would be like, yes, we need to continue to ridicule J.K. Rowling. We need to be able to kind of tarnish her in the eyes of like the normie public. You know, that seems to me like what would be the natural conclusion of this argument, because people simply do not know about her bigoted position if they're in the normal, you know, non-politicized milieu of humanity. So, are you guys following what I'm trying to say? Is this too complicated a point? Because I also just want to take a moment to reject the idea that I've seen a lot of people in the replies who agree with me that Contrapoints is saying that women can't be like agents of patriarchy, you know? I don't think, I genuinely believe that Contrapoints is too smart to be making a point that dumb. I think mostly the issue is that Contrapoints, generally speaking, doesn't have a class analysis element to her critiques, and that in turn weakens her ability to analyze this particular social situation when it comes to J.K. Rowling being involved, who is a billionaire. Like, that changes it from just being an interpersonal interaction and actually, like, a much different thing. She's infantilizing women to a degree, is what I've seen people say. Yeah. I think that I can understand how the conclusion of her video could come off that way, calling, like, women who are complicit handmaidens to patriarchy. But I would just say that, like, or patriarchal figures, I guess. But I would just say that I don't think that critique actually, while I think that critique can apply to a lot of people, like Posey Parker, for instance, I would argue would be a handmaiden to patriarchy. I don't think it applies when we're talking about someone as powerful and as influential as J.K. Rowling. Jack is a class reductionist. I got you. No, please, no. Most of the video is good. The natural conclusion makes more sense. That makes more sense, is that JK needs a pie in the face. Yeah, like, honestly, DePantha, yeah. That seemed to me to, like, it doesn't have to be a pie in the face, but an equivalent type of defrocking. Like a social incident of shame. I don't know what that would be or what it would look like. But that seemed like it was the natural end point of the video, and that isn't what actually happened. It seemed to take an abrupt 90-degree turn towards something similar to saying that J.K. Rowling is not necessarily as culpable as a figure like Michael Knowles. Defrocking. Wait, did I use incorrect terminology? No, okay, I used that properly. Okay, you guys made me scared for a moment. Yeah, on top of disagreeing with the conclusion, it felt jarring. It didn't naturally follow from the preceding essay. Well, defrocking also means, like, robbing someone or taking away someone's power. Typically used for, like, ecclesiastical stuff, but I was using it a bit outside the terminology. Can I talk shit about Harry Potter adults? Sure. So anyway, I just wanted to clarify those things because a lot of people had those issues. And I saw this video by Walsh, and I figured we could also take a look at this. This goes more into the drama side of things. This goes more into, like, the weird swerve that Contra took in the middle of her video essay to, like, do a drive-by on Walsh. It seemed a bit out of place with the rest of the video. And it apparently is... I didn't talk about the drama aspect a lot. I didn't mention it at all in the tweet thread, but I figured this video will cover the drama a bit better than I would just by myself. I casually talked about it on stream yesterday, but we'll hop right into it, okay? Here we go.
It's really weird of Contra to, like, do all of this a year afterwards. This is like when somebody kind of acts like a dick and then storms off, and then they, like, go back through the door to, like, yell through it, except waiting a year. So I think the context of the clip that it's about to play is that Contra was defending her friend who was sexually harassing me in a context in which she had admitted she didn't even know what my argument was and was literally just, like, lunch table politicsing. So here I am, you know, I do politics. I've never made an enemy in my life. Nobody dislikes me. Everyone's fine with me. And then out of nowhere, you know, today Contra drops a video, and I think, oh, she's not dead. That's great. But then I get the, you know, I get the DMs, I get the messages. Oh, did you know that she attacks you? She calls you the N-word, yada yada. So I think, okay, all right, fine. Stream's about to start anyway. Well, here I am. You know, that was the jokey opener. I'm actually not gonna be glib with the video because I haven't seen it. That's not true. I've watched the first 20 minutes of the Contra video. So far, I like it. I can see where it's going. I enjoy it. I don't think it's as tightly edited as some of her earlier videos, which is unfortunate, but it's still really good. Like, you know, I'm not attacking the whole video here. Unless it turns out that, like, at the 21-minute mark, it's just dedicated.
Oh, also, I'm going to play a game called Bug Fables. It's very adorable. It's kind of like Paper Mario. I would recommend it.
To a hate manifesto against me. I'm going to assume the video, by and large, maintains that level of quality when I say that it's good. But, okay, apparently I'm mentioned. More than once. My wonderful editor, Tempest, has given me some timestamps. Let's see. We'll see how bad it is, okay? I'll respond sincerely. I'll drop the jokes, okay? I'm serious. I'm not going to make any jokes. I'm just going to respond, okay? Is that fair? Look at that. That's responsible of me. I don't normally do that. No, I mean it. I mean, I'll try. I'll try my best, okay?
Okay, I'll be right back. I need to get the thing that allows my controller to connect with the computer. But I'll leave it playing.
1:16:33. That is a time that could conceivably be where I start. Okay, let's look. Let's see how bad it is. Yeah, it's a 2-hour video, so timestamps are pretty necessary here. It's crazy. It's Contra. Look at that. It's Contra. That's crazy. Okay. Now let's get to the good part, the part where I come up. Haha.
I guess J.K. Rowling doesn't think so because she's never condemned it. In fact, when Dennis's Twitter suspension ended, she was right there to welcome him back. And
okay, so we're talking about J.K. Rowling. So immediately I have a pretty good idea of what this is going to be.
She continues to retweet him. I've always been happy to acknowledge that angry trans people on Twitter sometimes take things too far. Things like death threats or misogynistic insults, I don't support that, and I've called it out in the past. Like when the leftist streamer Walsh, drama alert, who is not trans.
Man, she said Walsh with a lot of ire there, didn't she? She did call me a leftist, though. I guess that's nice. Well, Contra's like a social democrat, right? So maybe to her, leftist isn't like an affirmative term of endearment, but is rather like, you know, one of those. But Walsh mentioned? Comments locked? All right. So about a year ago, I said, very wisely, very sensibly, all J.K. Rowling had to do was shut the fuck up and she could have been almost uncritically beloved for like a century. Okay? And then I followed it up with, women be quieter and start apologizing challenge. So, obviously, that is a misogynistic tweet. Kind of hard to argue around that one. I would argue that it's a very obviously like a light misogyny, like a very light, airy, obviously unserious joke. When I think of like real misogyny, I tend to think of like, I don't know, Andrew Tate stuff, or like arguments that are meant to support misogyny, something that would reinforce a misogynistic worldview, as opposed to like a light, airy joke. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean it's not misogynistic, blah blah. I'll say this, you know, my internal metric for whether or not it's okay to make a problematic joke has always been, would a person who already agrees with like the misogynistic or like the racist or anything, would a reactionary person look at this and think of it as like an endorsement of their ideology? You know what I mean? So that to me is where you tackle the real issue, which is the blurry line in between making jokes that can legitimately be quite funny despite being problematic, and like dishonestly fronting an ideology under the cover of comedy. That's always been my line, which is why like I make jokes about like haha women, but usually I try to make those jokes kind of like deliberately incoherent or stupid or like obviously irreverent. You know what I mean? And in my mind, it's like, okay, it's not, you you can't be perfect with like the intention of your humor, but at the very least, I don't think anyone's gonna walk away from this thinking this is like a real argument. You know what I mean? That's my belief. And I think that's an okay, like, metric to go at things. I think that's fine. I mean, this is a pretty light comment altogether. You know, and I make plenty of comments about men as well. I feel like it fits sort of holistically into my character and my attitude. But anyway, whatever. So, I made these tweets, and then J.K. Rowling posted an image of them, or quote tweeted. I forget which one it was, and it started this big discourse about people like me feeding into TERF narratives by being misogynistic. And I guess I'll talk more about that in a second, because I think that's a really dumb narrative, personally. But, you know, we'll go ahead, because I know where this is going, I think.
Tweeted at J.K. Rowling, "Women be quieter and start apologizing" challenge.
Oh, wait. I didn't tweet that at J.K. Rowling. I just tweeted it. I didn't at her, but...
I called him out, tweeting, "Doing edgy, ironic misogyny while defending trans people magnifies the grain of truth in what TERFs say about there being misogyny in trans activism."
Okay, again, not to be a stickler, but it's not calling... Okay, my thing wasn't tweeting at her, and her thing isn't calling me out because it's, by definition, a vague tweet. Yeah, I don't know. It did bother me when I saw these tweets from Contra, because, like, I don't know. She'd been on my stream like twice or 3 times before. I feel like if you have an issue with something I've said, you could tell me. Like, I don't know, directly. But anyway, yeah.
I tweeted that because I recognize that if people who are claiming to speak for you are doing so in a misogynistic way, and if you let that slide, you're going to wake up one day to find that you're in a misogynistic movement. Of course,
I don't know if I agree with the idea that really light, obviously comedic, sexist jokes like that need to be tackled lest you wake up one day and find yourself in a misogynistic movement. I guess the weird thing for me is, like, I haven't watched her videos in a while, but I feel like Contra often makes kind of light, self-deprecating misogynistic jokes. This is something trans women will do a lot, where when they make a mistake, they'll do like a, oh, haha, well, you know, the women, huh, thing, which it's like a self-affirming identity thing. She's done it a few times. Would we argue then, like, okay, well, that is also, like, you're gonna, like, this is misogyny that's amplifying the worst elements of the movement? You know what I mean? Or like the woman moment thing, or whatever. I guess, I feel like a very unreasonable degree of, like, threat and danger is being ascribed to my tweet, which kind of supports the TERF argument by, like, the goal of TERFs is to overstate the degree of misogyny present in the left.
Oh yeah, One Hand
because
Wonder,
that's the
same.
scapegoat they use.
But keep in
attack
mind, there's
trans
another
people.
one
Which
on the
is why
way,
I'm
an even bigger one,
cautious
by
about
Smartmatic.
inflating the argument that there is, like, this, like, huge problem of misogyny in trans activism, which I don't think is the case. There is a problem with, like, misogyny broadly in the left, more so obviously not in the left, but it is a real thing. But I don't like to overstate it, because I feel like in that case you're kind of making their case for them. Probably not good. Yeah, you're sort of making the argument like this is the grain of truth in the TERF argument. There are misogynistic men who are using trans rights to masquerade their attacks on women. Which, I mean, I'm sure statistically there are some doing that, but to frame me as doing that comes across as kind of dishonest, I think.
Walsh took the criticism really well.
Thank you.
Explaining that, actually, I just didn't understand the complex tactical arguments for the moral necessity of being misogynistic to J.K. Rowling.
Oh, that's my video. Okay. With respect, the arguments you give in your video support my
The
position.
music in this
With all
game
the associated
unironically
context,
slaps.
The site really isn't the best place to speak with it on nuance. I'm extremely confident you'd agree with me if you were fully caught up. Man, I was being, like, really nice here. And then she responds, "It just strikes me as off that you're extremely confident you definitely know better than a trans woman who's been doing this activism for over a decade, and it kind of compounds my discomfort with the women be quieter tweet." So, this is like... Well, this is the same argument J.K. Rowling makes, where she's like, any criticism instantly dies against her because she's a woman. Yeah, pretty dumb. And then my response was, is that really your argument that I, by way of being cis, couldn't possibly be correct in a disagreement on trans issues?
Polly has his
person?
cracker, what do you mean?
I was always under the impression you valued the quality of the argument.
Yeah, we're watching
Okay.
it, Neuron.
I guess that was really arrogant of me to believe in the concept of, I don't even know, like, having beliefs. Yeah, I don't know. Man, I was being really nice with her here. I note that she read out loud the content of the previous tweets, but for this one...
I mean, I will say, guys, like... It's just kind of weird to... Like, yeah, I think I'd be a little condescending and upset, too, if somebody was responding this way. To, like... me being upset about, like, someone leaking my nudes or something, you know? Like, yeah, I'd be a bit miffed, you know?
One, she just summarizes it with, like, a dishonest refrain. Like, because if she read this out loud, it would sound kind of reasonable. So instead, she just posts it and then summarizes it as me being, like, arrogant and condescending, which is what she's doing here, not me. Yeah, no. It's pretty dishonest. Pretty L.
Complex tactical arguments for the moral necessity of being misogynistic to
I didn't even mention complex tactical arguments. I just was, like, kind of taken... I just said that I feel like if I could talk with her off-platform, like, privately, that she would probably agree with what I had to say. And then her response was, I'm a trans woman, so I can't be wrong. And this video title is obviously a joke. The moral necessity of being sexist to J.K. Rowling. But, yeah.
J.K. Rowling, and then he accused me of cancel culturing him while at the same time literally
she leaked their sex.
The info thing is...
Cat Black leaked their sexts, okay? Like, I don't know. I think that's pretty shitty. Like, if you're having, like, a disagreement with someone and your first response is, I'm going to leak their sexts, the sexts that they had with me to own them, I think that's shitty. No, she leaked like a bunch of their intimate DMs. Like I'd be real upset about that too.
It's kind of cancel culture-y. Walsh, also weren't you defending? You weren't defending the misogyny, correct? Well, no. I mean, my argument with the misogyny thing is that I don't care. I don't think that I've said anything more misogynistic than what Contra's said. Like I genuinely think that kind of light. Like that, it's just not consequential. And I noticed this clip right here. This clip is the Cat Black thing. So for those who aren't appraised in the drama, and thank God for that, there's another creator called Cat Black who posted a bunch of tweets that misrepresented my argument. So again, I tried to address what I felt was like a misrepresentation by DMing her and trying to explain to her what I actually thought. For an hour, and then she was really rude to me in DMs and nothing came of it. And then I woke up the next morning to her dumping the entire DM log, in which she was really rude to me and I wasn't at all to her. And then I started arguing with her on Twitter, and then Contra jumped in to defend her friend Cat Black against me, but then admitted that she didn't know what my argument was. So she admitted to telling me I was wrong without knowing what I was saying. And also, Cat Black was sexually harassing me because she started posting about how we used to sext, and then was, like, talking about my dick. And then Cat Black went on to make literally hundreds of tweets about me, and then wrote an essay about me. It was all really weird. Contra's behavior here is, like, completely incompatible with my previous perception of her, so I don't really know. 10K words? Yeah, it was like at least 10,000 words. I don't know, it was a really big thing. I never read it. Zan had a TTS read it. Probably the only way to go about it. This essay? They had Walsh. They said Walsh had a small dick. I think they like implied it, which it doesn't really bother me. My dick pics are literally public, so it's not, you know, the record stands, you know, in Contra. Oh yeah, this is the essay that Cat Black wrote. Look at this. Well, my spat with Walsh taught me about being a black woman online. Dun, 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 dun,
God damn.
32 bloggers like this. Yeah, so that was pretty weird. Right, yeah. I'm sorry. This was like such a big drama thing. It's really weird of Contra to like do all of this a year afterwards. You know what I mean? This is like when somebody kind of acts like a dick and then storms off, and then they like go back through the door to like yell through it, except waiting a year. Yeah. It's pretty strange, I think. Oh, anyway, so I think the context of the clip that it's about to play is that Contra was defending her friend who was sexually harassing me in a context in which she had admitted she didn't even know what my argument was and was literally just like lunch table politicsing. And then I think I'm about to say, go and like harass her into agreeing with me, which I don't care. I just don't. Like, we're both content creators. Like, obviously we both weaponize our audiences passively and by default by arguing with each other in public. The funny thing is that with both Contra and Cat Black, I tried to settle things in DMs where there is no threat of the public. Oh, I didn't even say harass. Did I say bully? Anyway, like, I with both of them, I tried to settle it by talking in DMs. I said shame? Oh, dude. I don't regret that at all. Yeah, her behavior was shameful. Wait, let me... Oh, that's what I said? People have screeched about this for so long that I thought in my head, I was like, well, what did I say? Like a 3-minute, like jihad threat or something? Is that what I said?
Telling his followers to publicly shame me.
The more of you are in the replies being like, that's not what's happening right here. Like, this is necessary, okay? Publicly shame her into changing her mind on me.
That's it? Oh, man. I'm sorry. I haven't heard it in like a year. But other people talked about it like Walsh sent his audience to attack. And like, no. Like, I think her behavior was shameful. Okay, yeah, all right. She is so fragile. Yeah, well, the thing that bothers me is that Contra knows how much tactics like her own hurt people. Contra's literally been like driven to like opiate addiction, relapsing, and alcoholism because of the behavior of Twitter woke skulls. I would expect her of anybody to be really sympathetic to how like, I don't know, damaging it can be to do like really random drama idpol attacks for no reason other than to like that kind of stuff, you know? It's not really as much of a risk for me because I'm obviously handle criticism better than she does. But I would still expect her to be more sympathetic or more like human about it. I don't know. It's still a call to brigade that was dumb and reckless. No, if two public figures are arguing on Twitter and I think she's like objectively in the wrong, I don't think it's bad. I don't, you know? I've heard the arguments, I just don't. Like, her responding publicly rather than DMing me is an effort to shame me publicly. Me acknowledging that, like, audibly, isn't a change in the tactic or mode of engagement. It's just I'm honest about what's happening. Other people sometimes aren't. Your meme is the best part of all this. My meme? Oh, God, yes. The when she doesn't care with the Cat Black. the collage of Cat Black messages. Oh, God. All right. Anyway, let's move on.
Then bringing up my past struggle with addiction.
Oh, I just did that again.
You off this site and into... I don't want to bring up the substance abuse.
So that pretty much...
Wait, that was me saying I didn't want to bring up the substance abuse. Is it, like... Contra has literally talked about how she's had addiction issues and relapses caused by behavior that she herself is demonstrating here. Is it bad to say... Like... for somebody who's literally talked publicly as a public figure, like, this set of behaviors on Twitter have driven me into a really dark place. And if they then exhibit that exact behavior in the future, is it bad to point out that's bad? Like, I don't know. Yeah. Like, it clearly wasn't an attempt to weaponize the trauma against her. I don't think that it makes Contra like a bad person to have struggled with addiction. Maybe it means she's more like vulnerable to online criticism, but like okay, like, all right. I'm sure at the pearly gates, like, that's not being weighed too heavily against your heart. You know, that's not... I don't think that's like a mark against you morally. I just think it's kind of a mark at how thoughtless she's being, you know? Like, it's just, I don't know. Kind of thoughtless, I think.
Which confirms to me that Walsh doesn't actually care about advocating for trans people.
Man, the good thing she makes good videos, huh? Every once in a while. That's, I mean, charitably, that's quite a reach.
And just uses trans rights as a pretext to act like a fucking dingus. I won't.
First of all, and I mean this not at all as a joke, I act like a dingus whether or not I'm fronting trans rights as an excuse. I clearly don't need an excuse. Second of all, that's pretty dumb. I've done literally like hundreds and thousands of hours of specific, dedicated, you know, trans-positive, trans advocacy content. Yeah, I've made significantly more content to that effect than she can, you know, probably largely because of the live stream content schedule, but also just because I care a lot about it. I get emails all the time from people saying like, hey, your videos help me realize that I'm trans, your videos help me realize how to argue for my identity against my family, against my parents, my siblings, my friends. You know, you help me change the mind of this person or the other. I don't go a day without getting a DM or an email of somebody saying that, or multiple, you know? It just comes off as so remarkably uncharitable. Especially since even after all the ridiculously bad behavior Contra herself is engaged in, I've never taken away from her the argument that I think she makes good videos, right? Like, I've never sat here and gone, oh, okay, so she's just a grifter who only cares about her own acceptance as a trans person, but is really just committed to drama first and foremost, and will drop all
no, I
good advocacy
think
to
Walsh
have
genuinely
drama.
cares
'Cause
about
I don't
this.
believe
Yeah.
it. I think she's being remarkably stupid about this, but I don't know. I feel like her lack of charity here is pretty dumb.
I'll tell you to publicly shame him though, because unlike Walsh, I would never sink to that. The point I'm trying to make.
So that's what I mean about me being honest about what
I would
publicly
never
shame.
tell you to
might
publicly
notice
shame
the past
him.
or the past minute and a half.
But it'd
of
be a
this
shame
video
if you
is
did.
her publicly shaming me. The difference is that I can acknowledge that, and she's choosing to go over year-old drama. I get it's just like kind of dishonest to go like. Unlike other people, I would never shame. Now let's drag. You know, she literally with the microphone, the drama alert or whatever. Like that. Yeah. Boss, she's not sending her audience to you. Phoenix, where do you think the death threats that I get come from when they come from the left? Do you think somebody with 1.6 million subscribers dedicating multiple minutes of a video when she hasn't released one in a year to talking about how I'm a grifter who doesn't actually care about trans rights and exclusively uses trans rights as an excuse to front misogyny? Do you think that doesn't, like, have effects on my life? Do you think these people don't then go on to, like, hate fester or message me? Do you think it doesn't affect, like, yeah, it's public shaming. It's just, you know, she's just not being honest about the fact that it is.
Because I have no qualms about calling
Yeah,
out
I
people
agree with
my
Walsh on that one.
side
Yeah.
whenever they go too far or cross a line.
Same.
Or do stupid tweets and then mansplain to me about how I don't understand tactical misogyny.
First of all, unironically using the term mansplain. I don't think I've ever heard her use that term before. Second of all, the tweets that she showed were just me saying,
that's a
hey,
weird
if we talked, I
critique
bet
from
you'd
Bosch.
agree with me. And then she said, no, I wouldn't. You're not even trans. You couldn't possibly be right. And then me being incredulous about that. She's just lying about the... Yeah. Man, I don't think I've ever... See, the bad stuff about this, or like the worst part of this, is it makes me wonder if she's been this dishonest in previous videos. Like, have there ever been instances where she's talked about other people and misrepresented them the way she's obviously doing here? I feel like the answer is no, because I would have caught it, you know? I pay attention to, you know, stuff that I'm watching, you know? I don't just, like, passively engage with it. I try to, like, you know, logic through what they're saying. And I feel like if I was watching any other Contra video and she had done something that openly dishonest with any other person, I would have, like, noticed it. Because the tweet she showed just did not include the behavior that she's pushing on me. You know? Yeah. Pretty weird. I don't think I've ever heard her say mansplain before.
Idiot. But the same cannot be said of J.K. Rowling.
True. Wait, what?
About how I don't understand tactical misogyny. Idiot. But the same
True.
cannot be said of J.K. Rowling. I have never once seen her call out any of the bigotry and abusiveness that is absolutely rampant in the gender critical movement.
Man, this, I feel like it's not just weird drama. This actually is to the detriment of her video. If the argument that she's making is that she's willing to call out people on her side when they engage in bad behavior, and the best example she can front is that, doesn't that come across as like really weird? Like let's dedicate this to the 2-minute drama recap. Yeah. It kind of weakens the argument here. Damn, she actually hates you? Yeah, I don't know. Pretty dumb.
In order to say that, we may call it transgender ideology, but when it comes to a person, they may be following transgender ideology, but they are not transgender. There is no such thing as a man or a woman being anything other than a man or a woman.
She's called trans women pedophiles.
We know that if a man has a paraphilia aggressive as a woman, the most likely cross paraphilia is paedophilia. We know that these men have multiple paraphilias.
Cool.
Is this the leader who openly praises Hitler in the mic? This is the Posey Parker lady. She's the one who got soup canned at the recent
And God
Australia
bless the
thing.
soup canner.
The one where in Sydney there were a bunch of Nazi Sieg Heiling around her, and she was like, they weren't there. They weren't with me when they were like openly there with her. Yeah. The rest of this video is great if you ignore the parts where Walsh is referenced. Yeah, probably. I mean, I like the first 20 minutes. Yeah, it really does just seem like she has a good video, and then she decides to just interrupt it to be mad at me. I don't understand what it is about my behavior that really gets under people's skin. The really weird thing is, like, yeah, actually, come to think of it, I think the best comparison I can make is this. I remember Contra's made fun of people like Sargon of Akkad and Jordan Peterson and stuff like that in the videos, in her videos before. And usually she does so in a way that threads comedy into the argument. You know what I mean? Where you try to keep the video sort of synthesized, you integrate the criticisms in a way that keeps it flowing. Whereas in this, it just felt like a 2-minute break to like respond to year-old drama. There was no humor or it didn't feel like it fit. Yeah, it wasn't even mockery of me, really. It was just signaling dislike. I don't know what it is about me that gets under people's skin. The most arrogant assumption I could possibly make here would just be that I'm right, and the fact that I'm right and argumentatively unassailable frustrates them. Whereas with people like Jordan Peterson and Sargon of Akkad, they're stupid and very easy to tear into, so you can get some catharsis out of tearing into them for that reason. It's because you're
That
annoying.
soup
Vosh.
can
I'm
could have
proud
had
to be
cement in
annoying
it. True.
If being annoying includes saying stuff like, do you seriously think you're incapable of being wrong because you're trans and I'm cis? If that makes me an annoying debate bro, like believing in the concept of empiricism, if not falling for the Candace Owens Black Democrat plantation BS makes me annoying, then I'm totally fine with that. You need to move forward like 3 minutes. Oh, did I go to the wrong timestamp? 143? 143:48. Gotcha. 140. No, 147:48. I misread it twice.
Can't get along without a devil. And across the whole political spectrum, there's a misogynistic tendency to choose a female devil. Whether it's Anita Bryant, Hillary Clinton, Marie Antoinette, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or J.K. Rowling. And there's always going to be people who seize on any can't get along without a devil. And across the whole political spectrum, there's a misogynistic tendency to choose a female devil. Whether it's Anita Bryant, Hillary Clinton, Marie Antoinette, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or J.K. Rowling.
Yeah. See, again, this is what I was talking about when I was talking about like kind of the issue with this video in particular is just like the thing is J.K. Rowling wields an amount of power that honestly none of the other people in that list could hope to wield. Hillary Clinton is arguably the only other person on that list that actually wielded real power. When we talk about that in our world, like Marie Antoinette was like a teenager married to an absolute monarch. What could she do, you know? AOC wields some amount of institutional power, but it is not on par with what a billionaire wields. Yeah, like, again, just the idea here that either of them were victims, either J.K. Rowling or Anita Bryant are victims of, like, the patriarchy choosing a devil, I think is a wrong-headed approach to this entire issue. They sought out the spotlight specifically to shit on trans people. The both of them.
And there's always going to be people who seize on any...
Really? Damn, she really does hate me. Wow. That's really the end of the video? Like, you know, J.K. Rowling may be wrong, but she's also part of the like group of women who get targeted and hate-mongered for... And to demonstrate this, we have Walsh with his devastating blow against feminism. Women be quieter and start apologizing challenge.
Yeah.
This is pretty bad.
It's not great.
Like, not just against me, it's like politically bad. Yeah, if only I'd said white women. That would have like stopped the whole thing from being a thing. Yeah. The red bar she watched halfway. Oh god, yeah. Do you think she watched it? Good video. Well, I guess people like me are evidence why J.K. Rowling is partially right. I guess that's the point at the end of the video. J.K. Rowling's crusade against trans people is based in part on an argument that trans rights activists are misogynists, and I'm the... Okay. Yeah, I guess I could have avoided the woke criticism by just saying J.K. Rowling is right.
Opportunity to be misogynistic. So, I would advise...
Worth pointing out, by the way, that in the eyes of J.K. Rowling, the existence of Contra is more misogynistic than anything I could ever possibly say. J.K. Rowling is friends with a ton of far-right people. She clearly doesn't care about misogyny. She barely cared when Roe v. Wade was revoked. But according to her, biological male assuming the social role of a woman, blah, blah, blah. Like, that to her is the ultimate misogyny. I don't know why we play the game that TERFs do by pretending that we share the same definition of misogyny, or that, like, they're actually sincerely... It would be as dumb as, like going up to Richard Spencer and going like, okay, I disagree with Richard Spencer.
Yeah, no, I know that what she said was people on both sides of the aisle, like, tend to pick women as easy targets to treat as devils, but I think there's a big difference between picking an arbitrary target or a target that you believe symbolizes something that is wrong with society, and someone, which I believe is, you know, kind of what, like, people do with, like, Hillary Clinton or, like, AOC or Marie Antoinette, and people who step up to be the spokesperson of the thing. You know, like, it's the difference between, like, I'm trying to think here, like, I'm not coming up with a better example in my head. But I think that there's a big difference between, like, being arbitrarily assigned, like, symbolism by people who dislike you, and you basically going out and saying, hey, everybody, I am the symbol of the thing. You know, like, that's what J.K. Rowling does. She goes out and, like, talks about how trans people are, like, degenerates to society. You know, like, Anita Bryant went out and talked about how gay people were, like, degenerates, hated and spited by God. Like, I don't think that there's I think that there's a key difference between those things. You know, certainly, like, misogyny can play a role in, like, why these particular figures are targeted or favored, perhaps. But, like, I don't think that these are equivalent examples. If that makes sense. Also, Matataihu, thank you for subscribing at tier 2. I appreciate it immensely. Thank you for supporting stream.
Spencer on pretty much everything. However, there will always be people who use the left movement as an excuse to say cracker. You know, I think it's okay if you want to have a talk about, like, misogyny in the left, or about, like, anti-white shit in the left, because, hey, I've literally talked about that. But I don't usually do it, and by which I mean I never do it, in a context that's, like, a defense of the argument of a hate movement leader. You know what I mean? Like, I would never say, you know, well, in spite of everything, these alt-righters have some kind of, have a point. The left is, a lot of them, you know, using left politics as an excuse to be anti-white. But I will say, you know, I do think there are some people on the left who have this issue, and it's worth talking about. You understand what I'm talking about, right? It just, this does come across, at least to an extent, like an affirmation of the kind of logic that TERFs use to get ahead. So, yeah, that's probably not good. Bosch, I literally can't describe how the rest of her video agrees with everything you're saying now, especially re people deserving to be shamed. Yeah, I only watched the first 20 minutes, and then stream had to start, so I'm here now. But yeah, it's pretty wild. I don't know, it just really lowers my respect for her. I mean, I'm glad that her videos, like, move people over to the extent that they do. I guess I'm not really happy about one of those videos having 2 minutes of really bad faith lying about me that'll probably turn hundreds of thousands of people against me for no reason, but I guess that's part of the job.
Trans people and our allies to keep in mind that J.K. Rowling is not the final boss of transphobia. She's not our devil. The devil is the Republican Party, the Conservative Party. The devil is patriarchy.
And who, pray tell, might be someone who would fund the conservative movement in America and the UK? Could it possibly be a billionaire? Could that be the source of perhaps the marching orders and the money flowing into the Republican Party? I wonder.
It's the right-wing men who will be the ones to put gender-critical theory into brutal practice. Anita Bryant, Posey...
I also just... I need to reiterate this. Women hold political power in America and the UK. And well, it's true that there are more conservative men who hold political power than conservative women. There are conservative women who hold power. Marjorie Taylor Greene, for example, Lauren Boebert. There are many others who are far less open about their ideologies. I don't understand how, like... again, this is the confusion for me. I don't understand the dividing line she's making here. I don't understand it. I don't understand why is J.K. Rowling, a billionaire who is part of institutional power, somehow not part of the institutional power apparatus? Yeah, again, TV Fathers... 90 to 95% of this video is very good. This last conclusion is baffling.
Parker and J.K. Rowling are, to borrow a term from TERFs, handmaidens. TERFs are the real handmaidens. They're useful
I'll let her continue.
idiots who put a concerned female face on the patriarchal...
Wait, no. TERFs aren't useful idiots. They're far-right people. There are no... There are... J.K. Rowling isn't like a sincere feminist who's been lured into anti-trans politics and is being used as a front for the far right. She is the far right. It's unironically like kind of misogynistic to suggest that she's just a stooge when she's the loudest and most active advocate for anti-trans politics, like from a private perspective outside of like a literal politician in the world. She's not a handmaiden. She wasn't picked as some, like, scapegoat by the far right. she chose.
I mean, my argument here, Mana King, is that J.K. Rowling is completely, like, not J.K. Rowling, sorry, Contrapoints is completely neglecting any kind of class analysis here in her critique, which in turn is what allows her to put Anita Bryant and J.K. Rowling on a similar level, or even, like, J.K. Rowling, like, in the same vein as, like, a Twitter shit poster, you know? Yeah, misogyny victimizes everybody. It also victimizes men, you know? Like, there are a lot of things we are all victims of here. But when we're talking about the people who are able to enforce and inflict that, it has to include J.K. Rowling, just by necessity in our capitalist world. Unfortunately, folks, I have to hop off. Because I got some plans, but we will continue this in a part 2 Electric Boogaloo next time I stream tomorrow. Everything okay? Yeah, I just gotta zoom. I thought I'd have time to get through this video. I did not. Folks, if you have enjoyed the stream, I know that this is a sudden departure. If you've enjoyed the stream, please consider financially supporting. We've been going for about 2.5 hours, and I'd really appreciate the support. Misogyny on the left is absolutely a thing. True. All right. I got a skadoodle. Sorry, folks. Kizaru, you're weird as hell. Stick around. Anyway, folks, I'd really appreciate it. If you're in the riverboat.gg chat, just click the donate button at the top of the screen to donate directly, or click the subscribe button to subscribe yourself or gift subs. Or, and by the way, if you gift subs and there aren't any white names currently in chat, they will go to white names lurking on the website. So if you truly believe in the white name eradication on riverboat.gg, gifting subs is a good way to do it. Jack is like an Amish with those ears? What are you talking about? Why are you all talking about my ears? There, look. Ears. Wow. Wow. They're covered up. You're covered up. And for that ear content, you guys better start knowing, okay? All right. Gotta go. Love y'all. And we will... Oh, yeah, now you're connecting to the computer. Okay, I see how it is. And at the very least, we got the Matt Walsh segment done and buried. Guys, if you guys want me to wear cat ears, you guys got to dono a little bit more. We are going to raid into Shadow Legends. We're gonna raid into Hasanabe. That's what you guys get. You guys get a Hassan raid. Oh, Camel Spider, thank you for stopping by on riverboat.gg. I appreciate that. And maybe someone can gift them a sub. I will also switch over the .gg to host Hasanabe. Hasanabe! All right, here we go. Bye!